Well, all right, boys and girls. Not the circumstances we thought we would kick off the CraBcast, but if you're going to be self-quarantined, what better thing to do than to start a new venture, right? So, of course, hit up my buddy Justin.
What's up?
Less than 48 hours ago. Most of you know Justin already. If you don't, Justin is one of the 3 hosts of 98 Rock's wildly successful morning show. Obviously, my personal favorite morning show, along with Scott. You know, there's rumors out there that Trump's going to be sending a $1,000 check to employees in the bar and restaurant industry, but it's all hearsay. Nobody knows. It's scary. I mean, you know, I'm not a very emotional guy, but I broke down a couple of days ago. It's
where was your head at? I know where your head was at, but what was going on with you during Hogan's Monday announcement? Because I was listening on the car ride home. I was listening to WBAL News Radio, and he prefaced it like the beginning of like a goddamn horror movie. He's like, what I am about to tell you is going to be scary. It is going to be life-changing. It is going to be unprecedented. Then he goes through the whole thing, and then he gets to the part about bars and restaurants today at 5 are closed. And I immediately think of you. You're a complex. You got multiple bars, multiple restaurants. You got the food truck. And I know you've got a wedding coming up. You've got events coming up. We've got weddings. Excuse me, not weddings. Hell no. We've got John and I are getting married. Facebook Live exclusive. You and I have had events coming up. We got some pretty cool stuff behind the scenes that we had planned that's all got to have a pin put in it. Yeah. And I'm thinking, where's Minadakis right now, and how is this washing over? Did you heard it when everybody else heard it?
Yeah, you know, the writing was on the wall, though. So if you start looking at New York and California and you're watching them go after the bars and restaurants, and I don't mean go after in a negative way. Obviously, I get what they're trying to do, and it does make sense.
Target places where people gather.
Sure. And, you know, he also prefaced it by giving them, like, a stern warning. Like, I told you not to do 50 or 250 or more on St. Patrick's Day.
He sounded like a pissed-off dad,
yeah,
didn't he?
And,
he
you know,
was
I
like,
can't blame him.
I guess you can't do this yourself.
Sure, and I can't blame him for that. And I did see some places that obviously weren't listening to what he said with the 250, right? So obviously we were next to go, and it's scary, obviously, because you're just going from 30, 40 people serving tables and making drinks to 0, and they're all looking at you like, hey, man, like, how am I going to pay my bills? Because those bills don't get put on hold. So we did do some stuff. We're going to do the T-shirts. We're going to do all the money from the online gift cards to them. We've offered financial aid. We're doing the free Jimmy's meals for all the employees. So we'll get there. We'll get through it as a family. And
did you have like a big kind of like locker room speech then? I imagine, I don't know why I just put myself in the same headspace as you and I are big pro wrestling fans, and you hear about these locker room leaders. You hear about your Roman Reigns of the world. You hear about your Vince McMahons and Eric Bischoffs and your Rosses, that sometimes they got to gather everyone around and be like, all right, here's what's up. There's questions, there's rumors, there's hearsay. Dad's going to lay it all out for you. Did you have to have like a
so
big
we did it through
event?
an app that we use for all the employees called it's called Hot Schedules.
Okay.
So we sent the memo out around 5 o'clock last night to every single one of our employees, and we didn't want to give it like that corporate feel. Like I wanted it to be like me and you, and this is what, we're scared, you're scared. We're not laying you off. That was, first and foremost. If you want to make money, we're going to help you make money. Myself and Tony, we're not collecting a paycheck, for a long time now until this clears over. And I mean, me, I don't need money. All my outfits are either Jimmy's or UNC.
I feel like you might get married in gym shorts.
Yeah, neither of which I pay for thanks to my hookup down at UNC.
Yeah.
So, as long as now they can't cut off my cable.
Nope.
So I don't need. And I can get free food from Jimmy, so I'm good to go. But,
you're fine. But you understand
a lot
the people
of others
that
aren't.
You work with that need some help.
So it's going to be scary, and I think this is when leadership really shows. This is when leaders are made, and God willing that when we're looking at the 50th anniversary party at Jimmy's and you're emceeing it and hosting it,
I can't wait.
We'll highlight this chapter. Like, hey, remember 2020 when everybody was scared and Jimmy's made it through it? So
we're living history right now, man. Think
Absolutely.
about it. Your parents or some of your relatives, grandparents emigrated to the country. Some of my family did. Scott's did as well. That every generation sort of has a thing. And our generation, a lot of people look at 9/11. Generation before them might look at the gas crisis in the 70s. Generation before that might look at Vietnam. And you have to think of like all the stuff throughout history that generations go through, whether it be X, Y, Z, millennial, boomers. This is going to be right now, as we record this, this is going to be a textbook chapter one day in social studies and history. March of 2020 is going to be looked back at as remember when stuff changed. We're not going to know till later this year or next year or maybe a decade from now. For better, for worse, brings together, tears apart, I don't know. But we are at a really weird exit ramp in history that when this all settles, stuff isn't going to be the same.
No, never. I think every industry is going to change, whether it's radio, whether it's the restaurant industry. You're going to be forced to adapt and overcome. I'm sure you guys have some stuff up your sleeve.
You know what we did today?
We need you more than ever right now.
Brother, I appreciate you saying that. I got a couple of nice messages from you, from others saying, hey, we need radio, we need stuff to, we like to call it a port in the storm. You're going to get beat up with COVID-19, coronavirus stuff. And our news guy, Josh Schlegel, he has to do that. That's his job. He's got it. He has to be the waiter, the waitress of the terrible news dish. He just has to serve it to you, and you got to eat it. Outside of that, we have a mandate right now. Like, we have to have 4 minimum breaks a show. Nothing to do. Fuck all with Corona. We're talking about teachers you couldn't forget, weird things you found in your dog's ass, haunted stuff, whatever. Just anything that doesn't have anything to do with it. But today, this is interesting. You and I are starting off like this. Today was the first day over at 98 Rock that one member of the morning show, just as a test, Scott Reardon, wasn't a part of the show, and he broadcast from home.
Yeah, I listened in. It was a little like off audio-wise.
Yeah, it's sort of, we're using some of these remote mics. The same things we do when we would broadcast from Jimmy's for St. Patrick's Day, or we would do it at Bacon and Beer or something. We're now taking remote equipment, hooking up to these high-speed lines, and we're going to broadcast as we do the whole social distancing thing. And I think, I'll even give you the scoop later this week. It's just going to be me in studio, and it's going to be Scott and Josh remotely. And then next week, none of us. And there's going to be a board op in there, and they're going to keep us all apart. So we're going to adapt the same way you'll adapt, to where you'll do the meals and do the food truck and find other avenues of revenue. This is going to be, I think you said it, adapt or die for a lot of people, that if you're so set in your ways and you don't have any wiggle room or don't have any adaptability, you're going to have a real rough go over the next 8+ weeks. We don't know. It's not going to be 2 weeks. We don't know if it's going to be 8. I said to you outside, I've gotten multiple people that have definitive answers of how long this thing's going to go for. Every answer is different. Every answer is different. Everything's different. We don't know. So you just better adapt. And I have no doubt you'll survive. I have no doubt 98 Rock survives. But I don't think some other... This city's full of great eateries. And the city's full of great entertainers.
The problem is with our industry, and I'm sure you know this, we work at such slim margins, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's already hard enough
it's hand
to turn
and
a
mouth
profit.
Sometimes.
And as you see, new restaurants go and come every hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really worried about, my brothers and sisters in the industry, because not only are they running at a small margin, but a lot of them are just, already in debt.
So an Irish pub or something like that. What did they do in Boston the same day that Brady leaves? You don't get to do St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
There had to be people at Irish pubs wanting to walk into traffic. It's a very, very difficult time. Like you pointed out, that slim margin, this slim margin might turn into a razor blade, and that razor blade might be cutting people's throats.
Yeah, I spoke to a friend in the industry yesterday, and like you said, he's looking forward to St. Patrick's all year round, right? So traditionally, he makes $100,000 on St. Patrick's Day weekend. He has a very popular bar in town. I don't want to use the name without being on record.
Gotcha.
This year, $35,000. So how do you make it after that?
How do you do that?
Your heart just goes that, not just to him, but the employees as
Yeah.
well, who were counting on that income. And it's a scary time, man. But it's transition. You said that you guys do have to have 4 breaks each hour with no coronavirus. Let's head into those breaks for the rest of this show.
Can I give you one? Can I give you one right now? I got one for you. Hey, this is a Facebook Live exclusive. Everybody's planning on what they're going to do if this shit gets real bad. Like real bad. Can I tell you my plan?
Let's hear it.
I'm eating my neighbor day one. Day one, I eat a person. You're stocked up on toilet paper, water. You're going to be well hydrated with a clean ass when the EMTs find you dead on the side of the road. I'm going to be full. I'm going to eat real well. Because if everything gets real bad, like Mad Max bad, everyone's wearing like tire armor, making hats out of fucking stop signs, no one's messing with me in the apocalypse, because everyone's going to go, that dude Day one ate his neighbor. Day one, you could still get vegetables.
It's like in jail, you got to go after the biggest one,
The biggest dude. Immediately, you got to take a fork and just stab the Braun Strowman of the yard. Day one, when something goes extra bad, I'm like, well, the Hendersons are getting eaten. I'm turning Bobby into a ribeye. Denise, you're the side dish. And Tom, you got liver spots, so I'm probably just going to turn you into like a garnish. Day one, this dude's cannibalizing people. So come for it. When I have like a pot on my head like a helmet. I'm not asking you to do the same, but in the post-apocalyptic world, you're going to want to leave me alone.
All right. So let's rewind it a little bit, right? To when we first met.
Yeah.
So, your history, I feel, in Baltimore is tied into the Jimmy's history, and I think a lot of people watched me, you, Tori, and the brands not only grow up but evolve together.
You, Tori, and I were the death triangle of Monday nights, man. Yeah. I still bring them up.
And for those that aren't aware and are listening, let's break it down how it happened, right? So Tori was heading into his second year in the NFL. I approached him about doing a Monday night show here. Of course, 98 Rock wanted to get on that. Mm-hmm. So it was a match made in heaven. I'm in Greece vacationing, and 98 Rock reaches out to me and says, "Oh, by the way, Stash isn't your host anymore." I said, "What do you mean he's not my host? That's what we agreed to. The papers are signed.
Yeah. You can't pull the
regular
season.
Regular season starts in a few weeks. This is ridiculous." Well, we got this guy Justin Schlegel. I said, "Who the fuck is Justin Schlegel?" I mean, this is not what I signed up for.
Like, I need my money back.
Yeah,
okay, this guy wears khakis.
No, you're gonna like him. He's real funny. I said, "All right, man, let's see." So, of course, they told me you were over in California at the time and you were making your way back. So why don't you tell us where you were, what you were doing in California, and how you ended up coming back to Baltimore to, in effect, host, the Monday Night Tori Smith show at Jimmy's.
Yeah, it's a great path. It's an interesting one. I went out to California in 2010 because I had done the Montreal Comedy Festival, which, if you want to compare it to the NFL, it's the combine of comedy. If you make it to the Montreal Comedy Festival, that means you've moved on from MCs and features and local headlining spots, national companies, NBCs, ABCs, Fox, Netflixes are starting to pay attention to you. It's worth going there. And I did it. I moved out to California. I got an agent. I got a manager. I signed with this place called The Collective. And like some college athletes, some of them turn out to be Peyton Manning. Some of them turn out to be Ryan Leaf. Hi, it's Ryan Leaf here with John Minadakis. It turned out that, I had a fun run out in Cali, but it just wasn't clicking. It wasn't working out, man. It was weird. My brand of comedy and my style of humor at the time was just not what they were interested in. I was just another bearded, schlubby white guy.
Well, you told me at another time that you saw the shift in comedy coming while you were out there, and that's when you say it wasn't what they were into, is because you were more traditional and maybe vulgar.
I wanted to make people laugh.
Right.
I didn't realize that it was twisting into I need to find my niche as far as a stance on a subject. A lot of stances, a lot of hot takes, a lot of applauses. But like no one was like, let me make this MFer laugh. I mean, you'd have all these Rory Scovel's and stuff that were hilarious. Great dude from around here by way of the Carolinas. But then you'd get like, look it up. If you are having trouble getting to sleep, may I suggest Hannah Gadsby's Nanette. It's the greatest TED Talk you've ever seen. It's as funny as water. It's as funny as a slice of white bread. But it's grand, and it's there's stances and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, that's all wonderful, but I'm like, I thought we were supposed to kind of try and make people laugh. Like, no. And it wasn't clicking. It wasn't. I was that gruff a-hole that wouldn't stop talking about pro wrestling from the East Coast. And it was sputtering along. I wasn't ready to like throw in the towel, quit, whatever, but I was not making big headway.
So 98 Rock calls you.
Out of nowhere. When 98 Rock didn't call me, I can't say who. I'll tell you off the air, and you'll understand why. But I get a call from someone that says, you're going to get a call. Pick it up, take it, click. And I get a call, sure enough, 20 minutes later, and says, hey, there's been a bit of an incident. There's been a thing. Stash is not with 98 Rock anymore. And I hear the whole story told. You could do your own research. It's all out there. The guy's doing great now. Shout out 100.7 The Bay. Stash is kicking ass. But he says, hey, how's things going? An old boss no longer works with us. Just letting you know, You've always expressed interest in getting into radio with us because I was in radio before I got into stand-up. I actually got into stand-up because radio failed for me years ago when there used to be Free FM over in Towson, WQSR, Good Time Oldies, Rouse and Company, the old Mix 106, all that sort of stuff. I worked for those cluster stations for a long time, and it sputtered out. It didn't work out. I got into comedy, and then I got back into radio because I was brought on the radio station as a comedic guest. But I always let them know when I was a guest, like, hey, I love radio. I'd love to get back into it. I get this call. And it was me and like 9 other people. They let me know, hey, you've always wanted to come back to us. We're letting you know you can apply. I was never given the job. They were saying there is an opportunity. As a courtesy to you, we'll let you know this thing is open. Apply for it. So over the course of, I think it was, I'm gonna botch the months, but I know it was spring into summer of 2011 and 12. That I just applied, demos, resumes, called, the whole thing. And then one day I get the call being like, all right, we whittled it down to you, one other girl, another morning show, picked her up as a sidekick, you're in. And I mean, that day, I was with a girl at the time too. I think she's probably still pissed at me at this day. Officer Lacey, if you're out there, sorry I ruined your career. My girlfriend at the time had just got accepted in LAPD. And she was about to start the academy. And I had to say, hey, I need to move back to Baltimore like next week. We got to put all of our shit in a pod and we got to go. He's like, I'm about to start the academy. I'm like, well, you can, but I got to go. So she left too. And I think she works for Howard County now, left me. And now she's with a guy that does MMA on the weekends. I think is the head of SWAT and owns a motorcycle. So good for you. And I come back, I do the afternoon drive show. And then maybe, God, like a month or two in, I get this whole like, dude, we know you're not a football guy. We know you're a Ravens fan. And we know you know what's happening during a football game, but you ain't an X's and O's guy. You barely made it through high school, stumbled out of community college. You don't know where a Torrey Smith went to college. You don't know where a Ray Rice went to college. You know nothing about Ray Lewis's alma mater, nothing. Would you want to turn this Monday night thing that was going to be half personality, half X's and O's into an all-personality show with this guy named Torrey Smith? Never heard of him. No idea where he's from. No, I didn't even know. I literally didn't know. Okay, God, he's going to hear this. Torrey, don't be mad. I did not know a position you played for the first 3 Monday nights.
His Twitter handle was literally Torrey Smith, wide receiver. You were tagging him in tweets saying...
Was it Torrey Smith WR?
Yes, which stands for wide receiver.
I thought it was wonderful... real ass dude. I had no idea. I'm sorry. I didn't know because I was just so dumb to the sport of football that I come to find out about this guy that had also, like you, he'd been promised, hey, you're going to be with the stash guy. He knows X's and O's. This guy knows personality. He's going to be able to break down the game one break and break down who you are the next. So it's just going to be personality driven. Hope he could do it. And then I said yes. I said yes to everything. And then Monday night started.
Yeah, and that was our decision. We wanted to pivot at that point and say, you know what, we don't want the X's and O's show.
Yeah.
Because they were dying across the country. You can hear so many players across the country talk about the game the day before and know that they can't give you the full details, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to make it a lifestyle show. I wanted to get about interests and hobbies and the person behind the helmet, and you were the perfect host for that. And that's why, in my opinion, win or lose, that place was packed every Monday night because they were part of the family now, and they felt like they were one of us, right? And they had a connection to all of us.
They did.
And they literally watched us grow up. And, you know, the first couple of weeks I remember were pretty hard because Torrey was still in his shell at the time. And, you know, credit to you, you were able to bring that out of him. And I think that that's gone a long way in making Torrey the man that he is now because he's very outspoken.
I tell you what, you got to pull the mic out of his hand now.
Yeah,
those first couple of shows. Remember, God, I remember this too. He was really good. Torrey, while soft-spoken, those first few shows, there was a genius behind his eyes. He knew, I'm not verbose. I'm not a chatty Cathy, but I got a locker room full of yahoos that are. I got Justin Tuckers. I've got Ray Rice's.
Jacoby.
I've got Jacoby's. Dragonfly Jones, traffic reporter. And he would bring people in. And I remember he brought in a young Justin Tucker, who we heard through the grapevine, did the whole opera bit. And he was still a rookie. And all these rookies are minding their P's and Q's. They don't want to step out of line. They don't do anything to embarrass Harbaugh, Bisciotti, Ozzie. these guys, there's a culture with the Ravens. And the culture is family, but the culture is respect. Don't do anything goofball out of line. I think Jacoby might have been the only dude to ever like drop a foot over that line and bring it back, drop it over the line and bring it back.
When he came to the show, he wore a gynecologist shirt. Remember that one? So he's holding these children for all these pictures saying he's a gynecologist.
Yeah, I'm not a gynecologist, but I'll give it a look or something.
Yeah.
So it's funny, you'd see a Justin Tucker before he became this outspoken Dr. Pepper Oprah guy. You got to see Jacoby Jones, who just hit the ground running. And I believe one day when we were supposed to do traffic, he just took over the traffic department and just started talking into the microphone and gave a city of 400,000 people just incorrect traffic information. He's like, there's a 10-car pileup on 83, and I think there's a tree in the road on 95, and I think a bunch of clowns are playing grab ass on Falls Road. This is Dragonfly Jones with 98 Rock Traffic. My boss is texting me, what the fuck was that? Who's Dragonfly Jones? I'm like, that's Jacoby Jones. Let it go. But you'd see Tori laughing quietly because he knew what he unleashed on the show. And then he's looking at me winking, I'm looking at him laughing. And then there was the day that you walked up to the table. It was the first time I met you. I remember you walked up to check on his food to make sure his steak was burnt enough. Tori, I love you. But to this day, you still don't know how to properly eat steak. Shout out. I'll eat shrimp with you all day long. But your steak is like shoe leather. And I was looking at something on my phone, and it had a picture of The Undertaker on it. And you mentioned something to me. He's like, something Taker, something WrestleMania. And then Tori leaned in and goes, yeah, my grandmama loves wrestling.
She does.
And in that moment, that I remember that distinctly, you asked about Taker's match at some WrestleMania, what I thought, and then he leaned in, and all three of us in that moment, over the Phenom, over Taker, we're like, I think these guys are going to be friends.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is I think everybody watches wrestling. Not everybody admits they watch wrestling. So anytime you bring up like an Undertaker or Hulk Hogan, and we played the old school wrestling in the bar,
all the time.
and everybody watches it. And, you know, wrestling brings a lot of people together. And going back to what's going on right now, it's awesome to watch them do these empty arena shows, and the entire country is watching. And they're just distracting us, as we said, you do with the morning show, from what's going on out there. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And everybody's opinionated one way or another, but at the end of the day, man, like, they're entertaining us at a time when we need it the most, man.
They do. We do need to entertain people locally. They need to entertain people nationally. Globally. And Jimmy's, I hope you heard me say this earlier in the week, that I say that there's two schools of thought in the world, that you eat to live and then live to eat. We need to be in a live-to-eat mindset right now. Food is pleasure. Food is joy. Food is an escape. At that time, if you've got that crab cake in front of you, or you got that crab on the lobster shell, that you're just looking at that lobster tail, or any of your pastas or your steaks or anything like that, I swear I'm not doing an endorsement for your thing. I'm telling you, in those moments where I'm eating, and I'm eating your food, I'm not thinking of, oh, God, what's tomorrow's show going to be like? Are we going to have to talk about this COVID crap? Someone that might be looking for a job is going to be able to sit there and at least for 30 minutes while they eat, for 30 minutes, their mind can just float away to whatever's in front of them. So what you do, especially with the food truck, with the carryout right now, it was always important, but it is so important right now. Food is joy, and joy is in short supply.
Yeah, we need things right now to make us feel normal again, right? And to make you feel like you felt when you were younger, whether that's a week ago or 10 years ago. And I think that, you know, that smell from the Jimmy's crab cake, or listening to you guys in the morning, that's going to help people alleviate their worries and their concerns. And think about, man, remember when I was going to HF Festival, for example, I was listening to the same song, you know, Lit or Aerosmith, and just help people get through this time. And I think music's going to be a big part of that too, man.
Music's going to be huge. Food's going to be huge. Enjoying us, but most importantly, and if you're listening, you might want to grab the kids, just bring them around, you know, kind of like a little family talk here real quick. Cocaine, as much as you can get right now. If you're like myself, and I'm not going to speak for John, you know, he's a bit of a health conscious guy, but as many bags of real pure snow as you can just go and tap dance through right now, nothing is going to take your thoughts away from anything for the immediate. Now, 2 days later, you're going to be paranoid, and you're going to think everyone's a cop. You're going to grind your teeth down and get a real bad migraine. But in the immediacy, if you can find yourself a nice booger sugar dealer, you're going to be set to go. And you're going to win that game of Monopoly that you're forced to play because you're trapped inside with your family. 3 kids, 2 of which you planned on. So if you're out there and you got that snow hookup, slide into Scott's DMs, not mine. And don't tell him you heard it here. Just want people reaching out to him saying, hey, I hear you're in the market for a blow. If you're Vince, what would you have done with WrestleMania?
Gosh, I would probably do what he's doing now. I think
An empty warehouse.
I would move it up to around 3 o'clock Eastern time, so you can make it more family friendly and just encourage all the families throughout America to watch this.
Yeah.
And now you have all their attention, just like football does on a Sunday afternoon. And for 5, 6, 7 hours, it's probably the first time that people don't complain about the length of WrestleMania.
Yeah, no kidding.
Grip the country, and the same way they had the show after 9/11, the same way they played in New York baseball after 9/11. You're going to remember that for the rest of your life. And when we look back on this in 5, 10 years, that empty arena, WrestleMania, will always be remembered by all of us as making us feel normal for 4 or 5, 6 hours. You don't have to postpone WrestleMania to June. You can make another supercard in June, as is being rumored from Madison Square Garden. You can make a bigger deal out of SummerSlam. God willing, we're back to normal by then. But right now, empty warehouse. These are the best entertainers in the world, and I'm going to prove it to you for the next 5 or 6 hours. And I just want to remind you that we're all in this together. And knowing Vince, I'm sure there'll be some sort of financial ramifications for a charity trying to fight the coronavirus coming from WrestleMania as well. And that's just what I think. That's what I would do.
And you're a guy that I don't think gets enough credit for. It's not just the food. It's not just the brand around here locally. Shout out Vincent K. McMahon, VKM. Holler at your boy. There's another company interested in me, but I am taking counter offers. Some of your events are the thing of legend. We're planning one. Hell, I'll go ahead and pull back the curtain a little bit. SummerSlam is awesome. It's going to be. The day leading up to SummerSlam, right across the street from here at Jimmy's, is going to be out of fucking control. If what you and I have planned pans out, and I have no doubt that it will with you at the helm, we got a day planned that day leading up to SummerSlam, which is going to be amazing. And the reason I bring this up is that your tailgates, your bus trips, your concerts, the thing that we're planning all day long leading up to SummerSlam, again, I'm going to have to put you back in the Vincent Kennedy McMahon chair. No one can be at the event for WrestleMania 36. It's going to be empty. And that's a huge part of the WrestleMania experience. But another part of it is the pyrotechnic, the laser light, the graphic presentation, live bands, Motorhead playing Here Comes the Game and all that. How much of that stuff do you still want to see, expect to see? Do you want it to strip down as Raw and SmackDown has been? Or do you still think there's room to add all that big flair and pizzazz that WrestleMania is known for, but with no crowd there to see it?
I think they'll push the envelope as much as they can. I think money's not an issue for Vince, so if he can do pyro, if he can do video packages,
in that smaller building,
he'll do it, absolutely. Yeah. And he has to, because he has to present these entertainers as larger than life, especially now more than ever. Yeah. So you got to have Goldberg smoke, you got to have the lasers, you got to have all that good stuff.
Undertaker's druids, have to have Fiend walking through the clouds. You have to have Cena and doing whatever he does with towels and whatever else.
And I think looking back on it, it can help alleviate just a lot of the stress on us, but it can also really make people superstars, because you'll remember the way that a mid-card guy made you feel when you were home on lockdown. Yeah. And all of a sudden, when we're allowed to go back into the arena, you're buying that guy's shirt and you're screaming at the top of your lungs for that person. It just shows you that these are human beings, too, more than ever.
And are you a movie guy? I've never asked you. Are you like a movie dude? Every time I talk to you, you're on the way to work, you're on your way from work, you're doing a deal, or you're doing a deal about a deal on the way to work as you sleep at work. Do you ever get a chance to sit down and watch a movie?
Yeah, I like happy movies, man. I watch a lot of Disney movies.
Yeah. You got Disney Plus, you're beating that up?
I love Adam Sandler movies.
Hell yeah.
And then people can criticize Adam Sandler, but, for that hour and a half, 2 hours, I feel better.
Did you see Uncut Gems?
I haven't watched that one yet, but
you should watch it. It's pretty great.
I've heard it's great. I just watched Frozen and Frozen 2 for the first time.
Mm-hmm. We're into the unknown right now.
If I'm going to watch a movie, I want to feel good.
Gotcha.
I don't want to feel scared or worried, and the real world's got enough of that.
I was going to say, no, A Quiet Place is 2 right now. While the world is a quiet place, you don't need some goddamn alien that's going to pull your head off because you farted. How do you? What do you think they should do? Because I love your business sense, your acumen for being able to read the tea leaves and what business moves make sense. I screamed to the top of the heavens a week or two ago with everything going on. I love Bond. The Bond franchise is one of my favorite things in the world. So it kind of hit me in the gut, selfishly, as a movie fan, when I found out that No Time to Die, Bond 25, got kicked off all the way till November because of everything that's going on.
And they also pushed back the Fast and the Furious movie. And I've never even seen a Fast and Furious movie, but I feel like this is the wrong decision. Right now, more than ever, we need you. So if I got to pay the $20 that I was going to pay in the movie theater at home,
yes,
charge me.
Yes, charge
I don't care.
me. I'll pay $50.
Exactly.
Charge me $50 for that new goddamn Bond film, and I will have my family sit around with me. I'll be able to pause it. I'll be able to go get food.
And you will never forget the way they'll make you feel.
Never.
Moving forward. And you will be so loyal to that movie franchise brand moving forward for the rest of your life. You will never forget how good they made you feel for those 2-3 hours while you were on home lockdown.
And I'm telling you, I don't think, and this is just me predicting stuff, I don't think, as an argument is to be made from some people, if you do that, you release the new Black Widow movie, if you release the new Pixar film Onward, on demand, you're going to kill the theaters. They'll be gone. The theaters will never come back. I think people will definitely return to the theaters. There's certain movies that...
It's part of American culture. American theaters will be fine no matter what. If anything, they'll just move other movies up and get them packed in the meantime. You're not killing anything. You need right now to care for each other and stop caring about money.
Yes.
And that's my biggest concern right now is that people are still thinking about money. And if this hasn't proven anything, it's that money doesn't matter. Right now, we need each other and we need to make each other feel good. And we need to get through this together. The money comes and goes. Money doesn't have any spenders. If you're these big corporations for at least 6 weeks, man, just take the green goggles off and be a human. I think Netflix needs to release Ozark right now.
Right now.
Give us Stranger Things right now, and we will always be thankful and loyal to Netflix.
Bump those release dates up. If you're a Fast and Furious head, of which there's many, release that. Some are. Universal is going to do it. Universal, their new releases are all coming out on demand, if not this week, next. That Birds of Prey movie, which I saw, not bad. Better than Suicide Squad. Joker's not even in it. Fine movie. That's going to come out next week. Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker, that was released early, $20.
Frozen 2.
Frozen 2 was a great surprise. Like, now is the time. Like you said, this could bring people together. It could take people's minds off stuff. It could help parents and a bunch of bored-ass kids at home. I think they could experiment with a new model of delivering new release movies to people that, for example, that new Rambo that came out last year. I wanted to see Rambo in the theater. That would be one of those films that if it came out on demand, I would wait for it to come out in theater because I want to see that theatrical experience. Quiet Place 2, I want to see it, but I don't necessarily need to see it in a theater. I think there are theater movies people will see, the new Matrix, a big Marvel film, but then there's some other stuff that I could watch at home and enjoy just as much, like the Star Wars film, like that Fast and Furious film and all that. I don't think this kills theaters. I think they are sitting on a gold mine too. I think they are sitting on so much effing money right now. A $50 price point, basically the price of a pay-per-view, which people have proven that they'd pay with UFC, with pro wrestling. $100, I think most people paid for the McGregor-Mayweather fight.
Tyson Fury fight recently was $90, I believe.
$90, and people are paying ass over tea kettle for that. We've shown that we will pay that for that distraction, that joy. And I think, like you said, we will remember the companies that did it right now, later on, versus the companies that said, no, we're holding on to it for you to get it later because we're going to get it to you how we want to get it to you. Those companies, people are going to look at later on like, man, you had the chance to build a lot of new fans by bringing some people just a little break, a little respite from the hell, and you didn't do it.
And that's why I'm really happy to see what professional wrestling's doing because tonight, AEW, NXT, they're going to have crazy ratings because we have nothing else to watch. We need you right now to get our mind off of this. And we appreciate you flying your talent in across the country and, putting your health at risk to entertain us. So now you got me for life. And I think if anybody believes in karma, this entire epidemic is going to expose it, man, because people are not going to forget the good ones and the bad ones. And it's going to hurt them financially. It's going to hurt them in their image. But they'll never bounce back from this. If you don't do the right thing right now, we will never forget.
How do you feel about the individual? And by that, I mean the person, the citizen. Certain companies are doing what they need to do. Certain government structures are doing what they need to do, and others aren't. But the person, the man, the woman that went in and bought the 500 packs of toilet paper, the person that went in and cleared off a shelf full of soup as they see someone behind them pushing their cart up that was looking to get some of those things. I'm worried that this is showing that we as a society's ugliness, stupidity
more than
stupidity, and some very scary individualism and selfishness that in the long run could hurt a few people.
I agree, and I think it's stupid. I don't think we're heading into any sort of a food shortage. Definitely not a toilet paper shortage. So I think it's stupid more than anything, but it's exposing these people.
Yeah.
I saw a thing where a couple bought, I think, 70,000 cases of water and was selling them at an insane markup.
The hand sanitizer guy. that they wouldn't even let that
karma,
guy
man.
sell his
Karma's
stuff.
going to get them all. For the most part, I will say this: what I've seen, through my limited view, has been very encouraging. I think a lot of people are really there for each other. A lot of small businesses, a lot of big businesses are being there for each other, and I do believe that America is really going to come out of this, as you mentioned, as a moment in history, and this will define our generation when we rally together. This will be our 9/11. This will be our World War II, our Vietnam, and we made it out together as a country.
Yeah.
And I think we'll also look back at some of the stuff that was going on before this and how silly we were to be arguing about it.
We're going to have problems in November and December, and in the middle of you having a problem because a vendor has misplaced a case of product, or I'm cussing at someone over the phone because an interview was supposed to have posted up 4 minutes ago and we're about to go to break. In that moment, we're going to pause, and we're going to remember these days, this week, when your business shut down, when you had to take care of countless employees to keep their bills paid and their families fed. I will remember in moments like this where we did projects like this to continue to entertain and to continue to do the stuff that we did. I think this is going to help give a generation perspective.
Yep.
I really think it will. This is
a generation that needed it too.
A generation, I really think it did. I really think it did. I know mine did. I know others did. This isn't as bad as it being drafted to Vietnam. This isn't the terror of a Cuban Missile Crisis when the world could have been turned off in a moment. This is maybe not even as scary as the gas crisis.
Not even 9/11.
Not even 9/11 was way scarier than this. I remember going, oh, so this is legitimately
we were
the
scared.
world ending.
New York's there. DC's there. We're Baltimore. Are we next?
Are we exactly? Is someone going to fly something into the state capitol in Maryland, downtown at the stadium? What's going to happen? Is Camden coming? If we really look at the things we've been through in the past, this is large and this is affecting people. But we have emerged stronger. We've emerged better before. And like you said, there's going to be some people that are remembered for what they did do and what they didn't do at the end of this.
I think the quotes from Maya Angelou, it says, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And I think that quote right now, and I might have missed it by a few words, will be paramount. And people will remember how individuals, teams, companies made them feel, and it's going to define these legacies for the next 40, 50, 60 years. And I just hope that, myself and my brother are doing the right thing. I think we are.
It sounds like it is. I'm friends with a couple of your staff members. We text, we talk, we Instagram, stuff like that. And I'm not hearing a lot of doom and gloom, oh my God, worry, concern, questions, but no, what am I going to do? If people are under the Jimmy's umbrella, they know that they're going to get taken care of. I can't say that for some other people and some other businesses that it sounds like immediately someone shut, locked, bolted the door, manager, owner, disappeared. Good luck in the wasteland. You now live in Fallout 4 on Xbox.
I've given I was telling Penelope yesterday, I was sitting at that empty bar.
How's it pronounced?
Penelope.
There we go. That's the way you say John's fiance. His name is Penelope.
I said, I sat in that empty bar yesterday, and you can't help but be overcome with sadness, right?
Brother, look at this. I'm glad you brought that up. You said you were sitting in your empty bar, and I was going through some social media, and I saved this picture. This picture busted me up. If you want to zoom in on that, that's from John's Instagram, and this is the downstairs bar adjacent to the carryout that you covered up the registers. You covered up some of the point of sale stuff. The stools were pushed in. The light was pouring through the windows when there should be
70-degree day.
70-degree day, perfect. We'd maybe pop the door up and get a breeze, and you just wrote sad day.
Yeah.
This photo, more than most. Have you seen the Vegas photo going around? Vegas is a ghost town right now. Disneyland is a ghost town right now. Some of your favorite bars, restaurants, whatever. This was the picture that made me go, God, this shit's real. Yeah. God, this shit is immediate. It's in my backyard.
I was telling her, I said, I've given my entire adult life to this place.
Yeah.
And most of my late childhood as well. And just to have it ripped away from you from something you can't control, it hurts.
Yeah. It's like I'm doing everything right.
It makes you want to fight. And I'll fight, for myself, for my family, for the brand, and obviously for my employees until I can't fight anymore. So I know we'll get through it, man. If there's going to be one restaurant standing in America, it'll be ours.
At the first sign of danger, I crumple. I die almost immediately. If there's any sort of adverse or any type of conflict to be found, I just basically hide under your desk, cry while clutching your ankle, or I eat my neighbor on day one. Hopefully you don't live next to me in Annapolis, Maryland on that day. Hopefully you pray that I'm the crawl behind the table guy and not the eat your children type. Can I ask you one strange-ass question I've always wanted to ask you in regards to wrestling?
This will be the last question.
Last question. I feel like I'm interviewing you in your own CraBcast. How close did you ever entertain the idea to actually training and becoming and pursuing to be a professional wrestler, if ever at all? You've got the look, you've got the physique, you've got the forked tongue, you've got the connections, you've got the best eyebrows in the business. Did you ever at any point say, because I've seen you in the Roman Reigns Greek flag gear from MCW, you might see him again in it the day of SummerSlam. You're going to want to bookmark that date. Did you ever get close to maybe hitting up a McDevitt or hitting up somebody and saying, I think I want to make a go of this, or what?
I mean, I definitely entertained the thought, but getting to know a couple of the guys and seeing the insane lifestyles that they live at the point that I was at in my life and the point that I'm at now and wanting to eventually start a family, I know it's impossible.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good at it. I think I was born to do it.
Throw the hell out of an F5, man.
But I think that, my calling is and always will be Jimmy's, and my ultimate responsibility is always going to be, to that place. And, probably not the path that I predicted growing up. My dad didn't want me in the restaurant business, but, when things happen, you got to roll and adjust. And, he died early, and I took over. And just like we're seeing right now, man, you just got to make the best out of a bad situation. And we'll see what happens. But, I have nothing but respect for every wrestler across the country, whether they're working 1 day a month on the indie circuit or 5 days a week in the WWE, because they give their entire body, soul, and life up to entertain us. And I don't think the average American realizes how much goes into that lifestyle, man. And it's brutal too. I bet you 80% of WWE employees don't know what town they're in every day.
I've heard before, and it's so interesting the way the world of comedy and the world of wrestlers mirror each other. You don't get paid to do what you do. The check they get, the check that I've got, is for the horrible flight, the awful rental car, the awful traveling companion, the god-awful hotel room, the weird manager you have to deal with. The
terrible food options
The terrible food, the odd-ass schedule, the distance from the family, the crazy manager, the injuries I receive, mental or physical. The wrestling and comedy, I do that for free.
Online abuse.
Oh, brutal. Brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, what they got to deal with these days with the Romans and the Cenas and the McIntyres and the Owens and the whoever else's of the world, the Codys and Omegas, what you go through compared to, no, trust me, dude, we've brought up old morning shows and shock jocks and boss jocks. I used to call them the boss jocks. How confident and badass they were. Like, man, the old 98 Rock shows, they used to act like rock stars, badasses. Like, they didn't have people coming at them from 19 separate directions about what S-bags they were and how about garbage you were and something this, something that. You either had to get through on the phone or write a handwritten letter. That's it. Now, everyone could just bombard John.
Or show up and say it to my face, which nobody does anymore.
It's weird. No one ever seems to do that.
Everybody's a lot tougher these days.
Everybody, boy, there are 280 character heroes, ain't they, man?
Yeah. All right, Justin, let's wrap it up, brother.
Pleasure, man.
Love you, man.
We shouldn't have touched. We got the virus now.